It was past midnight in a high-end private hospital. A pale-faced executive was rushed into the emergency bay on a stretcher, barely conscious. She clutched a nurse's wrist and whispered, voice trembling, "Please just get it over with quickly. I can't take the pain." There was no doctor in sight, yet only a man wearing a worn security coat who hurried inside. "What happened?" he asked. "Vehicle collision," the nurse replied. He removed his jacket and gently draped it over the woman. His voice was steady, low, and calming. "You're going to be all right. I'm here." As he held her hand under the bright ER lights, faint medical service codes tattooed along his forearm became visible. The woman spotted them and went still. His name was Caleb Rios, 41 years old, a single parent working the night security shift at Riverview Medical Center in Halden City. Every night was the same for him: clock in at 9:45 p.m., patrol the silent corridors, secure doors, make sure the staff felt safe. His son, Leo, 9 years old, a fourth grader, usually waited for him in the staff lounge, sketching rockets and robots while finishing homework until Caleb's shift ended at 6:15 a.m. No one at the hospital knew much about Caleb. Years ago, he had been a frontline medic, serving multiple deployments and saving more people than he could remember. But after losing his wife in a highway accident 6 years earlier, he left military service behind. He wanted something quieter, something that allowed him to raise Leo without missing a moment. To the hospital staff, he was simply the man who opened doors, helped escort patients, fetched blankets when nurses were overwhelmed. He never talked about his past. He never asked for anything. One stormy Tuesday night at around 12:05 a.m., the security radio crackled sharply. "Critical trauma inbound. Multi-vehicle crash near Eastbrook Overpass. Arrival in 2 minutes. Caleb happened to be near the ER doors. He heard the ambulance sirens before he saw the flashing lights. Moments later, paramedics rushed in. A woman in her mid-30s, expensive suit torn, bleeding heavily, breathing weak and uneven. Female, severe impact trauma, possible internal injuries, vitals dropping. A paramedic shouted. Caleb recognized her immediately. Everyone in the region would. Marina Vale, CEO of Vale Sphere Technologies, the youngest tech magnate in the country, brilliant, uncompromising, and famously emotionless in negotiations. The nurse beside her looked terrified. "Dr. Linton isn't here yet. Traffic jam on the highway. We're out of time." Caleb stepped forward, instinct overriding everything else. "Let me step in," he said firmly. The nurse hesitated. I know what I'm doing. Trust me." He moved to Marina's side, checked her pulse, assessed her breathing, and applied pressure to her bleeding shoulder. She blinked weakly, fear clouding her eyes. "Please just finish it fast," she whispered. "I don't want more pain." Caleb met her gaze, steady, confident, the same voice he once used to ground wounded soldiers. "Not tonight, ma'am. You're going to see morning light. Stay with me." Something about his tone made her believe him. Her trembling hand reached out. He took it, holding it firmly. "Focus on my voice. You're safe. Keep breathing." He stabilized her, kept her awake, guided her through every breath. "What's your name?" he asked. "Marina." "All right, Marina. I'm Caleb. You were in an accident, but you're going to pull through. Just breathe with me. In and out. By the time Dr. Linton arrived 6 minutes later, Marina's vitals had steadied. The doctor stared at Caleb, then at the monitors. "You did all this," Caleb shrugged slightly. "Just kept her going, Doc." "You didn't just keep her going. You saved her life." Caleb said nothing. He simply stepped back as the medical team took over. As they wheeled Marina toward surgery, she turned her head to look for him. Their eyes met one last time. She mouthed silently, "Thank you." He nodded once and slipped into the dim hallway. Just another night, just another life saved. Meanwhile, Leo waited in the lounge, coloring a picture of a caped hero. "Dad, look, I made this for you." Caleb smiled, ruffled his hair. It's amazing, buddy, let's go home. He never mentioned anything about the night. Real heroes never need a spotlight. The next morning, Marina woke in a luxury suite on the top floor of the hospital. Her ribs bandaged, arms stitched, head aching, but alive. Sunlight streamed in exactly like he'd promised. She remembered only pieces: the crash, the terror, and the voice. Steady hands gripping hers. You're going to see morning light. Who was he? A nurse entered to check her vitals. Excuse me, Marina rasped, her voice rough. Last night, the man who helped me before the doctor arrived. Who was he? The nurse smiled politely. Oh, you mean Caleb, the night security guard. Yes, he kept you stable until Dr. Linton arrived. Security guard. Marina's thoughts spun. She'd been saved by a security guard. Where is he now? She asked. He's probably home. His shift ends at 6:15 a.m. every day. Later that morning, Marina's assistant, Adrian, hurried into her room carrying her phone, tablet, and a stack of urgent updates. Ms. Vale, thank goodness you're awake. The board wants answers. The press is asking questions. News of the crash is everywhere. Marina slowly pushed herself upright, wincing. What exactly are they reporting? That it was a single vehicle accident. They're asking whether anyone else was involved. Adrian hesitated. And some reporters want to know who saved you. Marina stared at the sunlight hitting the windowsill. Tell them the medical staff handled everything professionally. Adrian shifted awkwardly. Should we mention the guard? I heard he. No. Her tone was sharp. No names, no press angles, no attention. Adrian nodded and slipped out, though something about that decision unsettled her. She didn't know why. Around midday, Caleb returned for his next shift. He was passing by the patient wing when a young nurse called out, Hey, Caleb, Ms. Vale was asking about you earlier. He paused. She's recovering. Much better. You should go say hello. She probably wants to thank you. Caleb shook his head. I'm sure she's busy. I've got work to do. But as he rounded the corner, he saw her. Marina stood by the elevator, leaning on a hospital-issued crutch while Adrian spoke to her quietly. Their eyes met. She looked startled, and something else he couldn't name. Adrian leaned close to whisper something. She nodded once. Caleb started to walk away, but her voice followed. Wait, you're Caleb, right? He turned. Yes, ma'am. She limped closer, Adrian stepping back. I wanted to thank you for what you did. Just doing my job, ma'am. A silence stretched between them. Then Adrian stepped forward, speaking low but not low enough. Ms. Vale PR thinks it's better we don't create a story around this. You know how the media twists things. Marina hesitated. Her face tightened. She looked at Caleb. I'm grateful for your help, but I'd prefer if last night stayed between us. I don't need rumors or attention. I'm sure you understand. Caleb's expression didn't change. I wasn't planning on talking about it. Good, she added stiffly. I don't like owing people. He looked at her for a long moment, steady, unreadable. It made her chest tighten in a way she didn't expect. Then don't, ma'am, he said quietly. Just live better. He turned and walked away. Marina didn't move. His words hit harder than the crash itself. Ms. Vale, Adrian said softly, your car is ready. Still, she watched Caleb disappear down the hall before finally turning away. Later that afternoon, a nurse named Jenna found Caleb in the break room. That was cold, she muttered. What she said to you? Caleb shrugged, sipping coffee. It's fine. It's not fine, Jenna insisted. You saved her life. She should have. Real help doesn't need an audience, he said gently. Jenna frowned. You're too good for this place. He smiled faintly. Note this is exactly where I belong. That evening, as Caleb was clocking out, he heard small footsteps racing toward him. Dad, you won't believe it. Leo crashed into his arms, bright-eyed and breathless. What's up, champ? My teacher said, Vale Sphere, donated a whole new computer lab to our school. We're getting tablets and everything." Caleb looked up through the glass doors. A sleek black car was pulling away. Inside, Marina sat in the back, staring out her window. Their eyes met one final time. She looked away first. Leo tugged his sleeve. "Dad, do you think she's a good person?" Caleb watched the car disappear into the traffic. "I think she settles her debts differently," he said quietly. Leo frowned. "What does that mean?" He lifted his son into his arms. "It means people show gratitude in different ways. Some use words, some use actions, some need time." Leo hugged him. "Well, I think both matter." Caleb smiled. "You're smarter than half the world, kid." They walked toward the parking lot together. Caleb never looked back. He didn't need to. He'd done what he always did, save a life, then move on. But deep inside, he wondered if Marina would remember him once she healed, or if he'd fade into the blur like everyone else. 1 month later, Riverview Medical Center held its annual charity gala, sponsored by the Vail Reach Foundation, Marina's family philanthropy. The event was huge. Politicians, wealthy donors, cameras everywhere. Caleb was assigned to security detail in the main hall. Check badges, monitor exits, blend into the background. He stood near the back wall, anonymous in his uniform, watching guests swirl around with polished smiles and champagne. Then she arrived, Marina Vail in a deep sapphire gown, confident, composed, every bit the celebrated CEO. She didn't see him. Why would she? The event began with speeches about healthcare access and donation milestones. Marina eventually stepped on stage. "Tonight, we honor the incredible impact of Riverview Medical Center," she told the crowd. "The Vail Reach Foundation is pledging $5 million to expand emergency services." Polite applause followed. Then the lights flickered, once, twice. The fire alarm shrieked. People panicked, looking around wildly. A voice yelled from across the hall, "Someone collapsed, we need help." Without hesitation, Caleb surged forward. He weaved through the crowd with focused precision. An elderly man, around 72, lay limp and blue, faced on the floor. People backed away helplessly. Someone screamed for a doctor. Caleb dropped to his knees, airway blocked. No pulse, training took over, head tilt, 30 compressions, 2 breaths, repeat. "Someone call emergency response now." A fellow guard shouted into his radio. Caleb didn't stop. "Compressions, breaths, compressions, breaths, come on, come on," he muttered, finally. The man gasped, coughed, lungs dragging in air. The crowd exhaled in relief. "Sir, don't move," Caleb said calmly. "Help is here." Paramedics rushed in and loaded the man onto a stretcher. Caleb stood brushing dust from his uniform, ready to fade back into nothing. Then he felt someone watching him. He looked up. Marina stood at the edge of the stage, stunned. She'd seen everything. His precision, his composure, his instinct. Not a guard, not background, something else entirely. Her assistant, Adrian, whispered urgently in her ear, but she didn't hear a word. She couldn't look away. After the gala, Marina went straight to Human Resources. "I want the personnel file for Caleb Rios," she said firmly. The HR director hesitated. "MS Vail, I'm not sure I can." 5 minutes later, Marina sat alone in a conference room with the file in her hands. Name, Caleb Rios. Age, 41. Position, night security officer. Former occupation, military combat medic. 2010, 2020 awards, Valor Shield Medal, Iron Star for heroic service discharge, honorable family, hardship emergency contact, Leo Rios' son, age 9. There were photos. Caleb in uniform, younger, medals on his chest, eyes sharp and unbreakable. A scanned article from 2018. Combat medic saves 26 soldiers during canyon ambush, awarded Valor Shield Medal. It detailed how Caleb had run through gunfire multiple times, performing life-saving procedures under impossible conditions. Marina covered her mouth. This man, this quiet, unseen hero, was working as a night guard, and she'd told him to stay silent. Invisible, she closed the file slowly. Then she made a decision. The next day, Marina called an unannounced press conference. Her PR team panicked. "MS, Vale, what is this? We don't have talking points prepared." "I don't need any." Cameras clicked. Reporters murmured as she stepped up to the podium without notes. "Last month," Marina began, "I was in a car accident. I almost didn't survive." The room stilled. "The person who saved my life wasn't a surgeon. He wasn't a paramedic. He wasn't anyone with a prestigious title." She took a breath. "He was a father, a single parent, a night shift security guard at Riverview Medical Center." Journalists leaned forward, whispering. "His name," she continued, "is Caleb Rios, and it's time you know who he really is." At that exact moment, Caleb was in the cafeteria with Leo, helping him with math homework. His phone buzzed with a message from a coworker. "Bro, turn on the TV, now." Confused, Caleb looked up at the cafeteria television. Ethan sat with his morning coffee, Grace swinging her legs beside him, humming while drawing. Then the TV volume rose. Olivia Hart, live on every news channel. The reporter's voice echoed through the cafeteria. "Ethan Ward is a decorated combat medic. 3 tours, Silver Cross for Valor." A military photo of Ethan flashed across the screen. Grace gasped. "Dad, that's you." Ethan froze. People in the cafeteria started turning, staring, whispering. On TV, Olivia continued, voice cracking. "When I told him to stay quiet about saving my life, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what he'd sacrificed." She looked straight into the camera. "Ethan Ward, if you're watching, please stand up." Ethan shook his head. I don't need this." Grace tugged his sleeve. "Dad, she's trying to say thank you." On the screen, Olivia's eyes glistened. Leadership isn't about power. It's about service, doing the right thing when no one sees you. The world needs people like Ethan Ward. The room erupted in applause. Grace hugged him tightly. "Dad, you're famous." But all Ethan could do was stare at the TV and whisper to himself, "Why me?" Scene, days later, hospital security office. Ethan reviewed paperwork when someone knocked gently. He looked up. Olivia Hart stood there. MS Hart. Olivia, just Olivia. She stepped in, closed the door. "I wanted to apologize, properly, not for cameras, not for PR, for you." Ethan exhaled. "You already apologized. That was for the world." Her voice softened. "This is for you." She sat across from him. "I judged you. I didn't see you. Why didn't you tell me you were a hero?" Ethan shook his head. "Heroes are the ones who don't come home. I'm just a guy trying to raise his daughter." Olivia looked down, eyes shining. "You're more than that." Silence, heavy but honest. Finally, "The advisory job, will you take it?" "If it gives Grace stability, yeah, I'll take it." Olivia smiled. "Good, because we need you. Not I. We." A montage weeks pass. Ethan and Olivia reviewing emergency plans, training staff, walking the new clinic site, talking late about life, loss, and second chances. They weren't just co-workers now. They were healing together. Scene, community park afternoon. Olivia saw Grace helping a little girl who'd scraped her knee. Bandage, little tap, tiny smile, there, all better. Olivia laughed softly. "You're a little medic too, huh?" Grace grinned. "Dad says helping people is our family business." Olivia felt something warm crack open in her chest. From her bag, she handed Grace a silver bracelet. "Be brave, little healer." "For me," Grace whispered. "For you." Grace threw her arms around her. Olivia froze for a second, then hugged her back. Something inside Olivia healed. Scene, Ethan's office evening. An envelope was slid under the door. Ethan opened it, a handwritten letter. "Ethan, you saved me twice, once from death and once from my own blindness. Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself." Olivia, he folded it carefully, placed it close to his heart. 1 year later, Grand opening day, crowds gathered. Cameras everywhere. A new building stood tall. The Ward Center for Community Healing. Olivia stepped to the podium. A year ago, I almost died. A man with no fame, no titles saved me. A man who was good when he didn't have to be. She turned. Ethan Ward, please join me. Ethan walked up slowly, Grace cheering in the front row. He adjusted the mic awkwardly. I'm not good with microphones. I'm better with heartbeats, soft laughter. But healing isn't just for the wounded. It's for anyone who still cares enough to try. We all carry scars, but it's up to us whether we build walls or bridges. Grace lifted a drawing, her dad covering Olivia with his jacket, a bright heart glowing between them. The crowd melted. Olivia stepped forward holding a wooden box, inside a medal, elegant, heavy, meaningful. Engraved, "Please don't make it fast, stay." Her voice trembled. "You promised I'd see the sunrise. I've seen 1,000 since that night, because of you." She pinned the medal on him. "Don't fade anymore, Ethan. The world needs you. I need you." He looked at her, really looked. The walls were gone. The ice was gone. She was finally human again. "Guess some pain's worth feeling," he whispered. Olivia smiled through her tears. "Yeah, it really is." The applause roared, but Ethan only saw 3 things: Grace beaming, Olivia free. The sunrise breaking gold through the clinic windows.